Hello to everybody who looks different from their twin. It's Beautiful Anonymous. 1 hour, one phone call, no names, no holds barred.
I'd rather go one-on-one. I think it'll be more fun, and I'll get to know you, and you'll get to know me.
Hi, everybody. If you're not into the intros, you want to skip about 5 or 6 minutes ahead. That'll put you right towards the beginning of the phone call itself. Enjoy. Hi, everybody. It's Chris Gethard, welcoming you to another episode of Beautiful Anonymous. This is the first thing I'm actually recording since our election episodes went up before the election. And obviously, that election stressed me out. And I think probably many of you, based on who many of our callers expressed that they were voting for along the way. I don't mean to laugh about it, but I don't know what else to do. The defense mechanism of laughter does come out right away. I will say this. The one thing I have found control over in my life is going local. And that is advice I might put out there for all of us. It's time to get granular. It's time to get local. It's time to volunteer somewhere right in front of you. It's time to start going to school board meetings in your town. It's time to do things that have a tangible effect in your community, whether that's your town, your neighborhood, your block, your child's school. It's time to find a place where you can feel yourself having a positive effect that's small and present and right there, tangible, reachable, where those effects are visible and evident to you. That's what I know how to control, is the stuff that feels local. Starts in my house, extends down my street, neighbors helping neighbors. That's how I'm going to get through the next 4 years. Maybe that'll help you as well. Who knows? But thanks to everybody for your feedback on those episodes. I was not the only one who listened to our call a couple episodes back with the Trump voter who said, I really feel like this is a looming disaster for Democrats, which it obviously proved to be. And once again, not that it's about us or the show or me, but both 2016 and 2024, I think, proved that when this show has on people voting for Trump, even when those people have trouble explaining their choices, our show is a bit of an accurate canary in the coal mine for the direction things tend to be going, which is both good to know and in this case sort of horrifying. Anyway, who wants to talk about that forever? Not me. I will tell you something. Absolute huge personal news that is going to shock the Beautiful Anonymous community. I am recording this on Friday, November 15th, just a little bit before 2 p.m., and I'm about to say some words that I never thought I would say. And if you've been listening to the show for a while, you all are going to know. Some of you right now are going to be mad because I'm making this out like it's something really life-changing. And you're going to go, don't scare us like that. We thought something was wrong. But a lot of you have been listening forever are going to realize the impact of this. In 12 hours, my wife is going to pick up a dog, and I will become a dog owner. We are going to have a dog. My son has started expressing that he wants a dog. My wife wants a dog. So she's meeting. She was on Pet Finder. She started taking my son to the local animal shelter to meet dogs in the idea that maybe sometime soon, whether it was next year, he'd have a dog. And he is a lonely only child. My son is an only child, and he doesn't have a playmate always, and I understand the value of it, all these things. But if you've been listening to this show for any length of time, you know I am not a dog person, and I have taken shit from our fan base. There are people out there who get mad when I've said that. I will tell you that my wife has shown me pictures of the dog and has been disturbed the fact that I'm not flipping out. She will sometimes text me, I can't wait to feel his cute little nose nuzzling. He has those white hairs around his nose. I can't wait to feel that cute little nose nuzzling me. And I'll just write back and go, yes, that sounds fun. And she goes, you are not into this. And I go, I don't understand why you're shocked. It's become something of a contentious moment in our house, but there will be a new through line on this show, which is that for 8 years, you have heard me express that I'm not a dog person. And in fact, I have taken some shit for that from the fan base. And all of a sudden, we're going to see if this dog can melt my heart and teach me the error of my ways, apparently. I don't know. All I know is we're getting a dog right when it's really getting cold in the Northeast. I don't feel like walking around in the cold and picking up poop, but maybe I will change. And I think for some of you, if there's any, I think is a certain type of beautiful anonymous fan right now going, well, if I have to take a deep breath and accept that an anti-vaxxer is now going to be in charge of our federal health agency, at the very least, I can now follow the saga of Gethard getting a dog. So you're welcome for that. This week's episode, it's a really good one. Our caller has good vibes. Our caller also has participated in a surgery that completely changed the physical appearance of his body. We talk a lot about it, what went into it, the choices that get you there, the balance of physical and mental when it comes to weight loss surgeries, the reaction to people who think of this as a quick fix. We also get into the body positivity movement in some ways that might make some people mad, but that I think is going to create some real discussion over in the Facebook group. We talk about a lot of things, and we also have some lovely tangents about being a twin, and raccoons come up again, and every time raccoons come up on this show, it does very quickly lead to a lot of debate online, and you'll all like it. Also, if you're signed up for the bonus content over at beautifulanonymous.com, which I encourage you to sign up, we do invent a new game, which is when I sing a song, can anyone identify it? Because I am not good at indicating what song it is that I'm trying to convey. That's gonna be a thing, I bet, that lasts. Anyway, it's a good episode. You're gonna like it. I think a lot of people out there, maybe some of you have done similar things. Maybe some of you are thinking about it. And I think that this is just a really honest look at bodies, at health, at things people hold on to and judge others for, and the fiction versus the fact of that. There's a lot going on, and I think you might enjoy it.
Thank you for calling Beautiful Anonymous. A beeping noise will indicate when you are on the show with the host.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, Chris. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm pretty stressed out today because of some other work stuff, but this call is a nice respite from that. No, it's okay. It's okay. But yeah, this call is a nice break from having to sit and stress about other stuff. So yeah.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm really excited to be talking to you. A little nervous, but that's all right. That's normal, I suppose. Not very happy with how last week went, but it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm good.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah. I talked to you last week I was the fuck Donald Trump guy.
Oh, yeah. Hey, how are you?
So yeah, not thrilled, but that's all right. We'll get through it.
Yeah, these things happen.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, we'll see if we get through it, or we won't.
Yeah, or we won't.
Yeah. Something will happen, or something won't, and we'll figure it out. And anyway, yes, hi. Hello.
Yes, hello. Yeah, so should I just get right into what I really called for?
Yeah, sure, I would love that.
Okay. Well, the last couple years, so my wife and I lived in a different state, and 2 years ago we moved to another state, obviously. And in that 2 years, I had weight loss surgery, and I lost 150 pounds.
Whoa.
And 3 weeks ago, I had a tummy tuck to remove all my excess skin. So I guess I wanted to tell you about that whole journey of the first surgery itself, getting ready for it. I feel like there's a lot of stigma surrounding weight loss surgery in general. So any questions, you know, I'm an open book. So anything you want to know about the whole process, like, I'm happy to answer it.
That's wild. So 150 pounds, like
Yeah.
that is, you know, that it is fair to say, like, there are adult people who weigh 150 pounds.
I mean, yeah, I lost a lot more than my twin sister. She's
Wait,
tiny.
you have a twin sister who's tiny?
She's teeny, yeah. She's absolutely. We're hilarious next to each other. Yeah, she is absolutely tiny. She's like 5 foot flat. Always been in very good shape. We couldn't have been more opposite, but yeah.
So,
but we have the same eyes, apparently.
Same eyes. Now, okay. So many questions. Where do I want to begin? One, when you lose 150 pounds, I mean, you move to a different state, so you're not running into as many people as you used to know. When you run into people who knew you a few years ago, are they even recognizing you, or does it take them a minute?
I've been really open with my journey, and I've posted a lot about it, and so they've all seen pictures. So nobody was like too taken aback. But I mean, when I see them in person, it's like my friend came last week to help take care of me to have my surgery, and he hadn't seen me since before I moved, and so he'd seen pictures and stuff. But he left, or I left, and then when he saw me, we were the same size. So that was definitely a fun reveal. So it's, people are definitely shocked and they love it. And, everybody's been very supportive, and it's definitely fun.
Now,
and I went back home a few months ago and got to see all my friends and family and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
When you mention your twin sister, who you say is tiny and has always been in shape, I will say there is something really fascinating about that, in the sense of, you would think that twins in particular, I mean, born at the same time, raised in the same family, was your weight gain genetic in some way? Was it lifestyle choices?
I mean, yes, all the above, probably. There are, in my family, the people that are in shape are in really good shape, and the people that are not are not. So there's a good mix. So it's hard to say whether it was totally genetics or not. I was certainly the biggest one in my immediate family by a long shot. Probably the whole family, really. Well, except for maybe one or two. But so there's a little bit of it, but certainly lifestyle choices. I had a pretty crazy childhood too. So there's, my weight gain started. I mean, I weigh what I weighed in 6th grade right now. So my weight gain started pretty early on. I mean, I remember hitting 200 pounds in the 8th grade and my mom yelling at me and being in trouble for it. Getting yelled at for my gut hanging over the seatbelt, that kind of stuff. So it happened really early, but it definitely escalated in my 20s, when I left home, and just continued to gain weight. And then during COVID, it certainly ballooned. But
when you decided to have the surgery, was it, what prompted it? Was it like, I've had enough of this, I need to take a drastic action to just look and feel better about myself?
It was a lot of things.
Did you have doctors telling you, like, hey, you're putting yourself in real danger?
No. I avoided the doctor for a long time because I didn't want to hear what I knew they were going to say. I was like too scared to face that, I guess. But what did it was, dude, I would look in the mirror and like grab my stomach and just look at myself. And I hated myself. I hated how I felt. I mean, I couldn't breathe. I had asthma really bad. I had sleep apnea. Um, I mean, I just didn't feel good, and I had a few friends at work that had the surgery and they did good. And then someone had it while I knew them working there, and I saw their whole process, and I was like, dang, maybe I should consider this. And then really when I got on the scale, and saw that I was 336 pounds, that was like, I had had enough. I didn't want to hate myself anymore. I wanted to be here for my wife, my wife's always been in good shape. She's incredible. She's beautiful. She's smart. The most hardworking person I've ever met in my life. Just, I'm so lucky to have her. I don't know if I tell her that enough. So when she listens to this, there you go. But I'm just so lucky to have her. But she's never judged me, and she supported me the whole way through. So she was a huge reason why I did it. I was just tired of feeling sick, and I need to be here for as long as I can for her.
Now, there's definitely going to be people listening who will hear that it was a surgery who go, well, especially in America, like, we got these quick fixes. What about working out? What about changing your diet? What about...
It's not a quick fix. So that's one of the things I wanted to cover. It's
I
not
want
a
to talk
magical
about
fix.
And I bet you've thought harder about that than anybody.
Totally. And I have tried. I mean, I did every diet you could think of. I worked out, obviously not for long enough because I was never successful, but it's hard when it's so easy for someone who has never been through it to say, well, just eat less. Like, okay. Well, it doesn't, yes, just eat less, but it's really hard. Your stomach is stretched out to a point, so you never feel that full feeling. You're deep in bad habits. I mean, most drug addicts can't get better alone. So, but it's a tool, I guess, is what I'm leading to. The people that expect it to fix all of their problems in regards to their food habits, they will probably fail. They'll lose weight the first year, and then a lot of people gain weight back because they don't make the changes necessary, right? So like that first 6 months to a year where you've had your surgery, it's awesome. It's like honeymoon period. Weight is flying off. It's, you can't do wrong. It's awesome. It's great. It's when your appetite starts to return, right? That you're like, you got to really be careful. So if you don't take that first like 6 months to a year to really seriously get your habits locked in, it's just, you're going to gain your weight back, probably. There's enough people that do. So it's not a magical fix. It won't do everything. And I mean, it requires the same amount of diligence, right? I had my surgery July of 2023, and I still track everything that I eat pretty much every day in an app to make sure I'm within my calories for the day. Now, there will be a day where I want to give that up, but I don't want to lose all the progress I've made, right? So I'm just sticking with it.
So this brings up a double question for me that a lot of people deal with, is my understanding, which is, one, when you are at a point where you go, I look in the mirror and I hate myself, but I'm still gaining weight.
Yeah.
This tells me that there's psychological aspects to eating. And you mentioned crazy childhood.
Oh, sure.
You mentioned crazy childhood. I don't want to make you go into it if you don't want to, but I sit here and I go, because I will tell you, I will struggle with times where I go, I'm having a bad day. What is going to make me feel better? A bagel with cream cheese is going to make me feel a bunch of pizza.
Well, yeah,
it's going to make me feel better.
That'll always do it.
Oh yeah, but I sit here and I go, this is unhealthy. Like I myself have. I will tell you, like, I'm not 330 something pounds, but I'm about as much as I've ever weighed right now, and I'm having a reckoning right now with the idea of, I use eating as a salve and then afterwards feel very bad. So I want you to talk about the psychological side of that, but then to also hear, and now to maintain it, there's calorie counting. That can also be healthy for some people, but with other people, it can become an obsessive thing in its own right. So
Totally.
the psychology that surrounds these choices, is that something you've thought about? And also, when you have the weight loss surgery, is that something that they talk to you about like, here's how we have, part of this is that we can restrict the size of your stomach, and part of it is you also need to start thinking about your relationship on the emotional, mental side of this.
Totally. So every weight loss program and insurance is different and going to have different requirements. But typically how it goes is your primary doctor will refer you to a weight loss surgeon. You start their program, and then they have requirements you have to meet before you can qualify for the surgery itself. So depending on your weight, they might make you lose a certain amount of weight before you can qualify for surgery. So many appointments. You have to show that you're steadily losing weight over a sustained period of time on your own. I had to do a psychological clearance, so I had to meet with a psychiatrist, and they went through all that with me basically. So there are steps you have to take so that hopefully, if you're not psychologically ready, you get weeded out. But that doesn't really happen all the time. I'm on a lot of support groups and stuff online, and there's so many people that just don't make the changes they need to make. But I'm trying to answer your question, not meander too much. Sorry. The psychological aspect of eating, though, like you said, like you feel guilty afterwards. I definitely dealt with that, and I would eat in secret and then feel terribly guilty. And I would eat for any feeling, right, and then feel terribly guilty afterwards. So that's definitely a huge part of it. It's very similar to addiction in that way, I suppose. I don't know if I answered anything you just asked me. I'm sorry.
No, you did. And also, I think it's reflective of the fact that, again, like, I think there's, and again, I'm in no way am I saying you fell into this, but I'm like, there are a lot of people, you go on Instagram right now and you go, there's people out here who, and I don't know what they're picking up on in my algorithm, but where
right.
You see products. Hey, drink this mushroom coffee and it'll make you lose 30 pounds in 30 days. And you're like, well, if that was real, everyone would have heard of this and be doing this. Or like,
totally. Totally.
And like all these quick fix things, quick fix schemes, and getting a surgery where you have to go through psychological evaluations and demonstrate lifestyle change. It's a real commitment, but it is there. But there's this line of like, I'm sure there are some people who have gotten that surgery and said, haha, now I can continue to behave in unhealthy ways and still look better.
Totally. And those are the people that gain their weight back typically.
Yeah. And I sit here and I'm like, man, it's also, and something else you can speak to, let's be honest, being as large as you are, I would have to imagine can often be very, very lonely, and also invite a lot of judgment that you are feeling even when people aren't expressing it. And the physical sides of it
you can feel it with how people look at you.
Yeah.
And especially being on the other side of it now, it's like, the way people look at me and treat me now is so different. People are nicer. People seem, maybe it's that I'm feeling more outgoing and confident, but I definitely have better conversations with just, people out every day. It's hard to put into words. I can just see in how people look at me. It's just different, it feels different. The vibe is different. I don't feel like I'm, and a lot of that's internal, right? I have beat myself up a lot with, feeling gross, looking gross, calling myself, all the bad names and all that. But, it's definitely way different. I guess it's hard to express, but people are kinder, more open. I can't really speak to if people are more flirty or not. Like I said, I'm married, so I don't really entertain any of that. But Yeah, it's totally different. And all the support groups I'm in, especially the females speak to it, like that, men all of a sudden will look at them and, get so much attention from males that they never had gotten before. And so it's definitely a well-known thing that happens, that you just get treated differently.
I would have to imagine that for some people, one of the goals is I want to look better. I want to feel better. Maybe even,
for sure.
Maybe even I want some more attention from the people who I would like.
Yes.
I would like people. I want to feel that love. But then I have to imagine there might be.
And a lot of people love it.
Yeah. But I bet there's also
Go ahead.
some people who go, the backlash of that, of like, oh shit, it's actually not making me feel better to get that attention. It's only highlighting to me how awful people have been up until now. I bet people reconcile with that a lot.
There's a lot of that. So, and that's the big thing. It's like, ultimately, if someone decides to do this, yes, I look great now. I can buy the clothes I want to buy, not just what fits. There's so many physical upsides to it, but really the most important thing is that, you're going to be healthier, and there's going to be ups and downs to it, but ultimately you should be doing this for your health and not for anything else. Because, there's also the side to it of people will go lose all their weight, have all the excess skin, and then they kind of hate what they look like now more than they did before. I was really fortunate that I could get the skin removal surgery. A lot of people can't afford it. It's super expensive. So there's that side to it too. It's, if you're doing it just for the looks, which I don't know, I'm sure that there are people that do it just for that part, but for me, I ultimately did it for my health and longevity and just, wanting to feel better.
And how are you feeling? How remind me how long it's been since you had the surgery?
I had my surgery July of 2023.
Oh, so it's been a year and a half almost.
Yeah.
And in general,
I feel amazing. I
feel good?
healthier.
Good.
Oh my God. I feel so great. I can sleep. My sleep apnea was resolved, so I don't have to use the CPAP anymore, which is awesome. My asthma is resolved. I don't have to use any of those medications, which is great. I just feel better. I enjoy exercising now before the surgery, and I'm resting now, but I do hot yoga like 3 to 4 times a week. I walk my dog every day. My wife and I go on hikes and things like that. So it's fun to have more access to life, I guess. I'm a musician, so I play guitar. So I've been getting back out to like open mics and getting back on stage, which I love to play live. But I really kept myself off stage for a long time because I just didn't want people looking at me. So I'm getting back to that, and it's been a lot of fun.
And why is it such a long gap between the initial surgery and the excess skin surgery?
Well, for one, you have to lose. You really need to be done losing weight before you get skin surgery. In most cases, there are the people that were like 600 pounds or whatever that at some point they need to remove skin for mobility, and then they'll have to get more skin removal later. But really, if you're, I don't want to say normal overweight like I was, but you know what I mean, not 600 pounds, but usually you need to be done losing weight before they'll remove skin. You need to be under a certain BMI. You need to have sustained it for a certain amount of time, not had any like weight gain. So again, every insurance and doctor is going to have different requirements, but yeah.
And what do they do with that extra skin? Okay, hold on right there. I know I'm interrupting the call. I get it. I know, but let's everybody just take a deep breath. And I know the best way for us to all take a deep breath is for me to tell you about some of the kind people that help make this show happen. So happy to tell you about Talkspace, who is the longest standing advertiser on this show. Talkspace has supported Beautiful Anonymous for many years, and I continue to be blown away by Talkspace and everything they're doing for the world of therapy. Because I know when I started therapy, it was intimidating. It was daunting. I had to drive to some very sedate, sterile feeling medical facility. I had to figure out a way to be comfortable and open and honest. And then guess what? If that doesn't feel like a good fit, you got to start the whole process over again. Not ideal. Not ideal. Luckily, Talkspace is rethinking therapy, affordability, accessibility. I really am so blown away. I think they have set the curve on modern therapy in so many ways. And keep in mind, therapy can be for many things. It can be to help you out as a couple, as an individual. It can be for issues that run deep. It can also be something that helps you if you need better sleep, if you need to reduce stress in your life, if you need to learn how to communicate more clearly. Talkspace allows you to do therapy from the comfort of your own home with your devices on your timeline. You can do it without having to add commute distances and times to your day. You can do it without having to find childcare. You can do it on your own terms. Talkspace is also very affordable. It's in network with most insurance providers. Most insured members have a $0 copay. Can't beat that. Cannot beat $0. Talkspace is the leading virtual therapy provider, making getting the help you need easy, accessible, and affordable. You can easily sign up online and get paired with a licensed provider that's the right fit for your needs. Usually that happens within 48 hours, and if you need to switch providers, that's no extra cost. You can talk it out between sessions by sending messages to your therapist, which is a huge game changer. There's also personalized treatments out there. Individuals, couples, veterans, teens, LGBTQIA plus community. There's therapists on there focusing on all different specializations. So go and check it. I bet you will find somebody who is trained in getting you the specific help you need. As a listener of this podcast, you'll get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/beautiful and enter the promo code SPACE80 to match with a licensed therapist today. Go to Talkspace.com/beautiful. Enter promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off your first month and show your support for the show. That's Talkspace.com/beautiful. The promo code is SPACE80. If you're spending time with loved ones for the holidays, chances are you're going to hear a lot of stories that you love to hear, and also the ones that you've heard way too many times. But look, have you ever wanted to help your loved ones capture those timeless stories in a more permanent way, not just for themselves, not just for that moment, but for you, your entire family, for future generations, for posterity? It can be daunting, this idea. What, are you going to sit down and write an entire book of life memories? Guess what? Storyworth makes that fun and easy. Here's how it works. Each week, Storyworth emails your loved one a thought-provoking question that you get to help pick. Things like, what's the bravest thing you've ever done? Or what's the farthest you've ever traveled? Or how did you used to get to school every day? And then Storyworth has this system. It is incredible. They make the writing process a breeze. Your loved one just responds to that email with a story. It can be long, it can be short. It's on their terms. You get emailed a copy of that response as it's submitted. It builds over a year, and after that year of fun, Storyworth compiles those stories from your loved one along with photos you submit into a hardcover book that can sit on your shelf forever. You'll be able to share it, revisit it. Generations to come can enjoy it. As I look to my right, there are 3 copies of a Storyworth book that I had my dad fill out. I will keep one forever. One will go to my son. One will go to my nephew, Rory. My dad is a guy who has a lot of stories, but you got to kind of pry them out of him. And when he gets going, you sit here, you go, man, you've lived so much life. This reminds me of my childhood. I get to know more about where I came from, more about other people along the way who were parts of the story of my family and therefore my life, who maybe wouldn't get the credit if this wasn't written down. And that book is sitting right there, and it's one of my most treasured items. And I will say, Storyworth has advertised with us over the years. Over and over again, I see people online. It comes up occasionally. Anybody remember the name of that service where they get all your loved ones' stories down? This is it. It's Storyworth, everybody. So if you're one of those people who's been waiting for this to come back up, now's the time to get out your phone, to take notes, grab a pen or pencil, okay? Families love Storyworth. That's why it has more than 35,000 5-star reviews on Trustpilot, with millions of stories preserved since they were founded over 10 years ago. Help your family members share and capture their stories this holiday season with Storyworth. Go to storyworth.com/beautiful today and save $10 on your first purchase. That's STORYWORTH.com/beautiful. Write it down right now. Storyworth.com/beautiful. Save $10 on your first purchase. Storyworth.com/beautiful. Thanks to all of our advertisers. Now let's get back to the phone call. And what do they do with that extra skin?
I don't really know. I'm assuming it just gets lost. I mean, um, we really wanted to make some leather-bound books with it or something, but that didn't work out.
Was this serious? Was this just a joke, or was this an actual consideration that you had?
This is a joke, but the real consideration was a satchel.
You actually thought about making a satchel out of this?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay, that was a joke.
We weren't going to make anything with that. I'm totally kidding.
You make a nice lampshade.
Yes, exactly. There you go. No, I don't know. And I asked for a picture of it because I wanted to see it, but I never got it. So I really have no idea what happened to it.
Oh, wait, you just had the excess skin surgery? I thought it was coming up.
No, I had it 3 weeks ago. So I've been home recovering. Yeah. Yeah. It was 3 weeks ago on Monday. So yeah.
Wow. And
I've been just recovering from that.
And how are you feeling when you look in because that's kind of the real finish line is the lifestyle changes that allow you to maintain where you're at and stay more on top of any weight gain fluctuations, both physically and emotional. That's the real finish line. But as far as surgeries go, you're now over the finish line on the surgeries.
Yes, definitely. It felt like the final leg of getting rid of it felt like I was letting go of that anchor of fat me, right? So I was it was like the last piece of it that I could finally let go of. And because, it's like I lose all the weight, I look amazing in clothes, but then when I take my clothes off, it was still that my skin hung really low. So it was it still looked like a very flat belly, like a flat pancake hanging off of me, but it was still there. And so that would mess with my brain a little bit. Just oh God, I've done all this work and there it still is. So yeah, when I saw myself for the first time, after surgery and, I was going to take my first shower and I got all my clothes off, it was jarring almost. I cried a little bit. Tears of joy. It was extremely exciting, but the difference, because the weight loss is gradual. So it's yes, the difference is huge, but boy, when it was this morning that was there and now I'm super flat. Very cool, very exciting, surreal. I was I just never in a million years thought that I would be able to do that. Look it's still mind blowing to me, really. But I'm thrilled with it.
Are they able to give you, when you sit and talk with doctors about this, are they able to say to you, this will probably add X amount of years onto your life? Is that something they can tell you?
I don't know if they can tell you in certain terms, but I mean, at one point my doctor was you've easily added 10 plus years to your life. So I don't know how, if that was really a calculated thing he said, or if it was just this is great. You've definitely added life to your, years to your life. I don't know. But I'm convinced I certainly have. I mean, I had prediabetes, the other health issues I mentioned, my sleep apnea and asthma, all that's resolved. So, I mean, and just things I heal better. I noticed that if I cut myself when I was at my heaviest, things were starting to heal really slow, and just I felt like I was starting to head down that path of okay, things are about to go wrong and it's time to correct course here.
Wild. Now, another thing that I'm sure you've thought about, and I bet there is divisive stuff about your exact experience in the fact that there's the body positivity movement, which I think is a real thing, and I think is a valid thing. And I don't think, the idea that you say, when I was at my biggest, I could absolutely feel people treating me differently. I don't think that's good.
No.
It's to feel harsh judgment and whatnot, but there's also going to be people that look and go, I would have to imagine these surgeries might be divisive in that in that sense of that community of like, oh, are you paying tons of money to correct stuff based on the judgments of others? And is that healthy in its own right? And I wonder if you've thought about
Right.
that.
Well, for me, I felt people's judgments. I still ultimately did this for me and my health and being here for my wife. So that was my why. I felt like I was very unhealthy and I needed to get my health under control and I needed help, right? Yeah, I mean, there definitely is some stigma around it and people that say things like that. But like I said before, I think for one thing, anybody doing this surgery needs to be seeing a therapist. First of all, I see a therapist. Anybody that does the surgery needs to be in therapy, period. I think everybody should be in therapy, but if you're doing this, you really need to be. So that you can avoid those things, because really also this whole thing is about mindset. Like you have to keep a positive mindset through this whole journey, because if you're doing it for the wrong reasons or you get really negative in your head, like it cannot work out, right? And so you have to arm yourself and do the work for it to work. It's not a magic fix, and like I said, yeah.
But ultimately, it sounds like you're happy you did it.
Oh, I wish I had done it sooner, right? I mean, that's my only regret. And I've had no complications. With any surgery, there's risk of complications. I don't want anybody to hear me, make them think that they too will have a complete breeze of a time. Because even healing from my first surgery and this one, it's been a breeze. Like it's been fine. I'm just doing what the doctors tell me, and it's been fine. I've had zero complications. Complications can happen, but I decided that the complications of being over 300 pounds were probably going to be worse than what I'll face with this. So, but yeah, I'm very happy, very healthy. And, I'm excited for life in a way that I really never have been.
How's that excitement showing up?
For one thing, like I said, I've been getting back to playing music. So just getting back to the things that I love that make me who I am. I just doing things, I know that sounds silly, but there was a long time where I just didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to stay home. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to, go out for dinner, or, I just wanted to order in, or, so just being open to new experiences. Like my wife and I went and did a pottery night a while ago. That was super fun, going on different hikes. We live somewhere on the California coast now, so that seems big enough that it's all right. So there's lots of outdoor stuff to do here. So it's just been fun going to the beach, just doing normal things without feeling exhausted. All kinds of things. And, I'm starting to think about what I want to do next for my career. And, I kind of want to figure out a way to, where I was at, whether that's looking into personal training or coaching or something. I don't know. I've had such a great experience from this that if I could help people navigate getting healthy, whether it's with this or not, it would be cool. I just would love to help people in that way.
That is wild. I bet
I guess I'm dreaming again.
Well, it's also wild to feel like a few years ago, the idea that you'd go, maybe I'll be a personal trainer. That sounds like it would have been so far away from reality as to be laughable.
I would have been like, fuck off. No, I would not have believed that for a moment. That would have even been a thought in my mind at all.
What kind of music do you play? You've mentioned a couple times that you're a musician. What kind of music?
I love the blues. I'm a blues guy, so
really?
I love all that old kind of stuff. Yeah. I love that.
What's the modern blues scene like?
There's some great players. So you know, it's not as like popular or whatever is the mainstream stuff, but man, there's some good shit out there. I can give you some recommendations if you'd like, but
yeah, list some of the modern greats, because to me, blues is, I think, a lot of people view it as, it's a music that I'm aware still exists, but it's not at the peak of its influence right now. I'm shocked to hear you drop the blues.
The blues, yeah. So I'll give you a couple. I'm going to give you a couple of like modern living legend sort of people, and then some new people. So my favorites, so a new guy, Christone Kingfish Ingram. If you just search Kingfish, he is badass. The guy from Mississippi, I think he's like 23, but he's so, I mean, I've been watching his videos of him since he was like 12. He's just so good. So good. Eric Gales is great. He's a new-ish. I mean, he's been playing a long time. I hate to call him new, but not as mainstream popular. But a lot of people know, of course, about Joe Bonamassa. I really like Joe Bonamassa, his old stuff. He's pretty campy these days, but he's probably one of the most popular blues guys. And then one of my favorite guys, Walter Trout. He's like one of the living legend sort of people. So he's played with John Mayall and the Blues Breakers, who, Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page were in that band at one point. John Lee Hooker, he played with him. Big Mama Thornton played with her. He was a side guy for a long time, and he's awesome. Check him out. They're all awesome.
Now, what's it like to be in a place where you have this massive sense of relief and an improvement in your life that you're viewing as extremely positive, while now also trying to re-embrace playing the blues, a music named, the blues is both a type of music and a word for sadness as reflected by that music?
Go and listen to an album from B.B. King, live at, which one is it? The County Jail? I'll find it. Anyway, that's my answer to that. Go listen to this album. That's all. B.B. King, live at San Quentin. And he'll answer that question. It's not always sad, is my answer.
The blues is not sad music?
I mean, it is, but it doesn't have to be.
So you're playing blues, and you're embracing the happy blues in your life.
I mean, sure. Why not? It's not always sad, it can be rockin', it can be, I like really high energy, like fast playing kind of more modern blues. I mean, I love all the old stuff too, don't get me wrong, but, so it's not always sad. And shout out to my favorite guitar player of all time, Johnny Winter. He's dead, but check him out too.
Johnny Winter. How'd you even get into the blues? I mean, I guess there's many millions of people into the blues.
Yeah, my dad got me into it before he passed away. So he passed away when I was 13. Got me started on guitar. And I mean, I remember anybody who knows me is going to know this is me at this point, but that's all right. I was in the garage with my dad when I was like 12, before I started playing guitar. And he showed me this video of Johnny Winter, and I was just like, holy shit, that is the coolest thing ever. So I had to play guitar after that. And he got me set up before he passed, and he played guitar as well, so I inherited a few of his guitars, and so I've got some cool stuff from him. And it's just, it's been my favorite hobby since I was a kid.
Yeah, that'll do it. Your dad showing you a cool video in the garage that gets you obsessed forever. I'm sorry your dad passed.
I was just like, yeah, it's all right. It was a long time ago. That's a whole other can of worms, but yeah, he was a drug addict, so he passed away from, he went down that bad path and passed away from drug overdose, and it's too bad. But
you mentioned before the crazy childhood. I would have to imagine this is like
yes,
one of the top line items that you were referring to. It sounds like this was probably it.
Absolutely. Oh, I mean, he was a really great dad when he was sober, but when he was on drugs, it was chaos. I mean, it was, growing up, I had a debilitating stutter. Like, I literally could not talk in class. I couldn't order at restaurants. It was just all the stress. That's how it manifested. It was horrible, but it was super stressful. Being in the car with him when he was high, and he'd be nodding off he was on heroin, so he'd be nodding off. I mean, I can't tell you the kind of fear that puts into you when you're like 8 years old. It's just, oh my God. Yeah, horrifying. But, he had a lot of really amazing qualities too. So drug addiction can really, God, it can just steal the soul from people and make them do things they would never do. So I don't want anybody hearing this to think, oh, this guy's dad is a piece of shit. My dad was very sick, right? And had a lot of issues himself, but he had a good heart, I guess ultimately is what I'm trying to say. But it was very scary, very chaotic. Not fun.
No, it doesn't sound fun at all. I'm sorry you lived through it.
No. But I lived through it. It's all good. And I think it's made me a really strong, resilient person. Yes, it was terrible. It was a terrible thing to go through, but, God, sometimes life sucks. But, you just gotta keep on going. It gets better. It always gets better.
It's true. I don't want to play armchair shrink, but you start to connect some dots as far as who knows what the dialogue is, but you can see how if, any number of angles that I'm sure you've dealt with, if food gives you comfort in the face of a lot of chaos and pain, it could become a crutch. I could see realizing that you have an addictive relationship in terms of your eating habits and food addiction, and being able to go, well, at least it's not drugs. Yeah. Those will kill you, and being able to rationalize things. I would imagine a number of psychological ways that, I don't want to connect any dots, and those could all be wrong, but you sit here, you go, you have a childhood like that, and you can see that a kid is going to start to react.
I definitely used it as a comfort, for sure.
Yeah,
it was a comfort forever, and then it was just comfort that turned into just horrible habits. I mean, definitely addiction. Like, I hesitate to call it addiction just because I've lived around so many. My dad wasn't the only addict in my life. I've been around it a lot. I've never lied, stolen, or cheated someone to feed my habits. So I guess that's the distinction I make. Very similar, though, for sure.
Yeah.
Very unhealthy habits, for sure. I mean, I'm not trying to minimize it at all. It was not good, but
I have another question sticking in my brain from an earlier part of the call, and I don't want to disrespect. I mean, you just opened up about something super heartfelt.
No, you're fine.
Very
you're good.
Affecting.
We're going.
I am wondering, what's it like to be a twin when you and your twin looked so vastly different? Where is this one going? I don't know. Do you know? Probably not. That would be impossible. Stick around. We'll all find out together. We just have to take a short break. I'm so happy to tell you about the Constant Wonder podcast, a podcast for those who like to wonder at the world. Join Constant Wonder for explorations of science, art, history, and more. This podcast is on a quest to find awe and wonder in all nature, human or wild, vast or small. Wonder is defined as a feeling of surprise mingled with admiration caused by something beautiful, unexpected, unfamiliar, or inexplicable. And the emerging science around awe and wonder shows that the ability to feel awe is a skill to be developed, like anything else, through practice. The more you look for it, the more you'll have it. The Constant Wonder podcast is here to help you develop a regular practice of wonder. Experiencing awe reduces stress and anxiety levels and has been shown to impact overall well-being. Those who cultivate awe and wonder have a greater life satisfaction and experience greater creativity. Each episode of Constant Wonder provides an opportunity to keep learning, keep feeling, reawaken the curiosity you had as a child. Tune in to our phenomenal world. Turn a mundane day into a wondrous one. Take a peaceful respite from hectic routines. Experience the thrill of a transformative encounter with the good, the true, and the beautiful. Enjoy episodes like Harnessing the Power of the Sun to Cool the Planet, Sprouting a Seed that Survived the Roman Siege, Family Embraces Dad 2.0 After Traumatic Brain Injury, How to Reforest the Desert, Human Echolocation, Dreams and the Deep Mysteries of the Unconscious Mind. Leave feeling rejuvenated with eyes wide open to the wonder all around us and with a deeper conviction that human beings, including you, can accomplish the extraordinary. Listen to Constant Wonder wherever you get your podcasts. Privacy is hugely important to me, and I think it should be important to all of us. And I think you'd be surprised at how much your privacy is under threat right now. I am someone who has lived publicly, and I have made a lot of projects that have a cult following, as you know, if you listen to this show. And if you have a cult following, sometimes you get people who are intense. And I have had points where I have had to really worry about my privacy out there because there's people looking for my info. It's been a little scary. Maybe identity theft is something you've had to worry about, or getting harassed or stalked or doxxed. I hope you haven't had to worry about them. One thing you can do to make sure you never have to worry about them is delete me. Make it happen. Your personal data, it's out there on the internet. Anyone can find it, way more than you think. Your name, contact info, social security number, home address, addresses for your family members, these data brokers, that's what they're called. They get your info, they gather it up, and they sell it. They make profit off your info. It's gross and it's scary. It can lead to identity theft, phishing, harassment, like I said. Even all those unwanted spam calls sometimes relate to this, but Delete Me really protects you and your privacy. I have seen it up close. I've seen the service they provide. It's a game changer. I, in the past, used similar services, and Delete Me came in and did so much more of a thorough, better job. It has been huge for my peace of mind. I personally recommend Delete Me. I personally use Delete Me. This is not a joke. It's a subscription service that removes your personal info from hundreds of data brokers. You can sign up and provide them with exactly what information you want deleted, and their experts get to work. Delete Me sends you regular personalized privacy reports. That is eye-opening because it shows you what they found, where they found it, what they removed. I've been so impressed because they tell you where it's being added back and when they go and scrub it again, because Delete Me is not just a one-time service. Delete Me is always working for you. They constantly monitor and remove personal information you don't want on the internet. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me, now at a special discount for our listeners. Today, get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Use the promo code beautiful at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Enter code beautiful at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Code is beautiful. Thanks again to everybody who sponsors Beautiful Anonymous. Now let's finish off the phone call. I am wondering, what's it like to be a twin when you and your twin looked so vastly different?
It's awesome. My twin and I mean, we have always been best friends. Besides my wife, she's my favorite person on the planet. We have always been close, except for in 7th grade for whatever reason.
What happened
I'm just going to go on record saying she hated me in 7th grade. It did not go both ways, like she will tell you. I don't know. 7th graders suck, dude. I mean, it's just the worst time ever. But we've always been close. It was like growing up with my best friends. I think it's, maybe better than having like an identical twin or a twin of the same gender, but there was no competition between us. We were just, we were just so close. And honestly, I think because we had each other is why we came out as sane as we did. So, we've had our kind of twin saying is from the womb to the tomb. So, we've always had each other's backs, and
womb to the tomb is pretty dark, but I also appreciate the sentiment behind it.
Yeah. From the womb to the tomb. So yeah, growing up with a twin, awesome. I love having a twin. She's the best. And she's just always been very supportive of me as well.
It's also, when you have a childhood that sounds like it was, even on its best days, pretty unpredictable, and on its worst days, pretty brutal. To have that, to have that legendary twin language or that ability to lean on each other must have been a lifesaver when you were growing up.
Oh, for sure. Like I said, for me, I know that having her is why I made it out as okay as I did. I mean, well, I don't know. My family's a mixed bag. My mom is a great person in some ways and pretty crappy in others. So just, I don't want to like paint my household as all terrible. It wasn't all terrible, but definitely having each other was very important and did us well.
Yeah, I would imagine that's, a game changer to have a twin where you can share a lot through eye contact in ways that other people can't. That ability to communicate on that level in the face of chaos. Oof. And were your parents together?
Well, especially
the whole time?
Yes and no. They were together. My mom eventually divorced my dad more because she had to than like they weren't in love or anything. So like financially, because he was just blowing through. There was a time where he made a lot of money and we were really well off, and then he was just blowing it all. So, I'll give my mom kudos there. She, my dad passed away in 2006 and then in 2008, crisis happened. My mom is in that industry, and so she had to, there's a lot I can knock her for, and there's a lot I can give her credit for. And, she kept us in our house and as normal as possible, and he did that well, but emotionally not great. But yeah. I feel like I didn't answer your question. I forgot what you asked me. But I just
you absolutely did. Well, it's also one of those things too, where I'm just always so struck. We started off, okay, here's an interesting thing to think about. The top line item, I had this surgery. I had a follow-up surgery towards the end of this process. And I sit here, I go, a lot of people probably judge that. Is it a quick fix thing? Is this and that? And you start to realize, we talk for less than an hour, and you go like, oh, the layers of unwrapping between the balance of life experience, childhood stability, the emotional effect of not just a family member, but your father, the paternal example set for you being unpredictable, chaotic, feeling the very real desire to go, but he was still in so many ways a great dad, and I don't want him to be judged.
Yeah.
And you sit here and go, yeah, right. It's not as simple as like don't go to Dunkin' Donuts so often. Like life is not that simple.
Life is not black and white. There's a lot of gray area, and there's a lot to consider. And there's a lot to consider.
pretty
Yeah, there's a
wild.
lot to it. There was one thing I wanted to tell you. I feel like we're probably getting close to an hour.
Yeah, we got like
There's
12
just something I
minutes
wanted
left.
to wait. Okay, so we got a little time. Something I wanted to weigh in on is raccoons.
Oh,
Uh,
shit. Oh, shit.
I have
This hasn't come up in a
I've
while,
always
but
been
it's
terrified
weirdly
of
divisive.
raccoons.
You're terrified of raccoons.
Yes, and are they cute? Sure, they can be cute where they live without me, but they're horrifying. My sister introduced me to your show probably like six-ish months ago. Like I kind of knew who you were, so I'm a little new to the party, but I love the show. It's amazing. I mean, I've been listening to it non-fucking stop. So I just listened to a few of the raccoon episodes, and I laughed.
Yeah.
Especially when you played the audio of the raccoon screaming. I was like, yep. Because there was one time where I was camping with some family in California, and I had, like I said, always been afraid of raccoons. I'm a teenager at this point. It's the middle of the night. I'm in my tent by myself, and I hear that scream. And I've never heard a raccoon scream. I had no idea what it was. But it was terrifying. And then the dogs started screaming, and the people started screaming. It was blood-curdling. It was horrifying.
Yeah.
And then in the morning, we all woke up, and, like, the people were telling everybody what happened. So we, their little dog got out, and a raccoon attacked it. And then the big dog went after the little dog, and then there was more raccoons. And then the husband went out, and his legs were tore up. I mean, absolutely tore up.
Like a coordinated attack by multiple raccoons?
That's what it sounded like.
Well,
I did not fall asleep at all after that.
If I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. There is one way in which this podcast is about presenting real conversations with real people in the moment in a way that reflects where those people are at in that exact moment in their lives. You could argue that that's what this podcast is about. You could also argue that if you listen from the beginning, this is quietly a podcast about raccoons. I have no skin in the game. One thing I've learned through this podcast, and I'm barely making a joke right now, is that a lot more people have stronger opinions on raccoons than I ever realized. I have come to learn that I have very few actual opinions on raccoons, and I see good sides and bad sides. I am rare. I've learned it through this podcast. People are either, I was once camping and a bunch of raccoons surrounded us and shook us down like thugs in an old-timey movie. Or people going, no, actually raccoons are the best. I went on Craigslist to find a roommate, and there was a 2-bedroom apartment within a free room, and my roommate, it turned out I went there, and the person with the apartment was a raccoon, and now I just live with a raccoon, and we share a living space and both work from home.
My raccoon mate.
Yeah, like there's no middle ground. People either love raccoons or hate raccoons.
Don't fuck with raccoons camp. Don't fuck with raccoons. That's where I'm at. Absolutely not. I don't know.
Every time they come up on the show, it's a whole can of worms. And people think I'm kidding, but I'm telling you, this is going to lead to, there's going to be a lot of commentary about the balance of your surgeries, right? The main thing people are going to talk about in the reaction to this one, obviously the surgeries, the weight loss, body positivity, debate about that.
Ooh, I did want to touch on body positivity a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Go for it. I'm just going to close out the point. I will say there's going to be, this is going to lead to more pro raccoon calls. This is going to be leading to people calling me a raccoon hater. I'm not a raccoon hater. I'm not a raccoon lover. I'm raccoon neutral. People find that unbelievable, but I'm telling you.
He's raccoon Sweden, everybody.
I want to just also put out there, every listener, Andrea just called me a coward in our shared doc for not taking a strong stand one way for the other. No joke. She just typed the word coward. That's harsh. I will put it out there, though. I want everyone who listens to this show to start experimenting. When you're out with friends or in a bar, just ask people, like, hey, what's your opinion on raccoons? Because I find that people have stronger opinions than you would think. And it would be a fantastic conversation starter. What's your opinion on raccoons? Because I'm finding that people have stronger opinions than I ever realized. I bet this is
Very
happening
polarizing.
everywhere. Very polarizing topic. Who knew? And we're living in
Yeah.
polarized and divisive times right now. Okay, this country
We
just
are.
keeps electing presidents based on razor thin margins, and we're living these polarized times. So we don't need more polarization in our lives. But if this podcast has proven one thing, it's that people are out there living stories and lives, and we need to take more time to
Yeah.
listen to each other's stories. If it has proven a second thing, it's that raccoons are not an easy topic, and we have to stop pretending
no,
that
they're
they
not.
are. Anyway, you were saying there was one other thing you wanted to make sure you got on record.
Oh yeah, body positivity.
Yes.
You brought it up a couple times, and I wanted to touch on it now. This is going to be delicate, and a lot of people are probably not going to love my stance.
Okay.
And I want to preface it with saying you should never treat anybody less than because of their size or something, right? There's no need to ever bully or belittle or harass or anything. However, the body positivity I have an issue with are the very large people trying to pass it off as healthy. Like, my blood work looks good, and this, you know, there's all the influencers of body positivity people, these hugely overweight people online, which, yes, you should be able to exist in peace and happiness, but do not pretend that it's healthy. Do not, it's so dangerous. And just as someone who was there and had jumped through all the hoops of rationalizing why it was okay to be as big as I was, it's just not. It's just not okay. And it has nothing to do with what anybody thinks of you. It has to do with health. Bodies are not meant to withstand that much extra weight on them, period. Whether it's your joints, your blood work, you get diabetes or heart condition, which not everybody who's big is going to get sick, but your chances are exponentially greater of getting sick, right? So that's what I have a problem with. It just irks me that there's people online, you know, making people feel like it's okay and them feel like it's okay to live that unhealthy. It's just, like I said, it might be divisive and people might jump down my anonymous throat for that, but I have a problem with that, and I hope people don't listen to that too much.
Well, I hear you, and I do think, like, there are absolutely people in this world who are bigger and who go, my blood work's fine, and I feel good, and I feel beautiful, and I feel strong, and I feel sexy, and I sit there and I go, and that is awesome. But I'm becoming progressively more wary, no matter my fundamental level of agreeing or disagreeing. I am becoming, just on a personal level, very, very wary of any online movements that provide an umbrella for especially young people to fall down unhealthy tracks. So I do hear you there. Where I go, like, if someone feels beautiful and sexy and their doctor says they're healthy, who gives a shit? Never make that person feel bad based on their size. But if there's a movement where especially people are profiting in some way off the idea that a movement happens and it leads to a 15 or 16-year-old kid not making life choices and therefore winding up, like you said, with diabetes or major joint issues or strain on their heart at an age that's just too young, I sit here, I go, who made money off of that unhealthy thing? And there's a lot of examples.
I feel similarly about the health and wellness industry, like, and there's a lot of it that's good. There's a lot of it that's just complete horseshit.
It's
right?
the horseshit
like
side. And when it's profiteering, I sit here, I go, body positivity on a fundamental basic level. Yes. When people are learning how to take other people's insecurity, pain, and at times youth to, especially, like I said, somehow find a way to profit, whether that's monetarily or through becoming an influencer with tons more followers. You sit here, you go, and in the same way that I don't like Gwyneth Paltrow telling people to stick rocks up their vagina. You know what I mean? Where I sit here, I go, it's a similar thing. Or, the amount of times that, the amount of times that I've started to, I will Google, I should buy a treadmill for my house. Do I have room for one? That would be a good thing. That would help me. I'm not moving and walking enough. I'm not feeling great about how I look. And then I start to realize, and now I'm being sold some bullshit on Instagram that when you click on it, you go like, oh, this stops bloating and helps you lose tons of weight. And then you click on it and you go, it's not FDA approved. What is this? Where is it coming from? What's the science behind it? And I clicked on it, and I'm pretty wary of things. I'm a pretty smart guy, and I'm pretty wary of being taken on a ride. Like, I am a gentleman of North Jersey at the end of the day. Like, we like to do the swindles, not be swindled. And I still was tempted enough to click.
You're a fart smeller.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much. I can sniff a fart. Thank you for saying it. I don't know if that's a phrase, but I hope we just started it up as one. Andrea, don't.
It totally is a phrase.
Is that? Andrea, don't isolate the
smart
audio.
Feller, fart smeller.
Smart smell of fart. But point being, there's a lot of people that are really desperate, really vulnerable.
Yeah.
And anything that preys upon the vulnerability or insecurities of others, I am wary of. And absolutely, I have great love for many aspects of the body positivity movement, but I also have seen enough where I go, and there's some people profiting off of it. And I question the motives sometimes, especially with young people.
Anybody ever selling you a magical fix or, for, I can only speak to weight loss because that's my experience, right? There is no, yes, I had the surgery, and I know there are plenty of people out there that are going to think, oh, that's a shortcut. It's not a shortcut. You still have to put the work in. The change is in the small things you do every day. There's never going to be one monumental big shift that you're not going to wake up tomorrow and completely change everything the way you do with everything, and then all of a sudden you're going to become healthy. It's the boring little shit every day that you have to do over and over and over again. Because even before my surgery, I lost 30 pounds on my own, and that was hard. That was hard because it was on my own, so of course it was hard. But I just put a sticky note on my bathroom mirror that said, "Today I will make good choices." That was in March of 2023. That Post-it note is still on my mirror, so, and I didn't make all the changes I needed to make day one. It was, okay, today I'm going to go for a walk. And I'm going to go for a walk every day. And I'm going to make that part of my habit. And then once you get that, add something else and take away something else. It's all the boring shit. I mean, you have to put in the time. There's no quick magical thing that's going to do it. You got to do that boring stuff every single day and not stop doing it. But then you'll wake up one day and you'll be like, whoa, I got here. I did it.
Let's also keep in mind with any surgery, you got to sign a bunch of paperwork before they put you under that says you might not wake up.
Yes.
Like, that's
for sure. And
scary and real every time.
I had the gastric sleeve surgery, just to specify. There's a couple different ones. I had the sleeve, which is generally pretty safe. Like you said, with any surgery, there is absolutely, chances that something could go wrong, complications, all that. For me and for a lot of people I know, I've had no complications, and it's been the best thing they ever did. I've certainly read plenty of stories where complications did happen. So you really have to weigh out the pros and cons of it and decide with your doctor what your best move is. But for me, it was definitely the best move. It allowed me to step back from my habits and really show me what I was doing wrong. I mean, it has taught me, in hindsight, I can see everything that I was doing wrong, where before I'd be like, oh, I don't get it. I don't get why I never lose weight. It's like, well, because you eat too much. And that's really, for a lot of people, of course, there's people with different conditions that it can contribute to it. But for me, it provided the wake-up call I needed.
Well, I'm very glad that you're feeling better. I'm glad to hear that you have this approach, that it is a holistic experience and that so much of it is about the little things, the small things, the viewing it as a chance to course correct on a lot of your health, to go down tangents about your childhood, and then also raccoons and all sorts of things. Means a lot. We're gonna say goodbye to everybody on the free feed now, and then for the people
Yeah.
signed up at beautifulanonymous.com, we're gonna continue with 5 more random questions, and I can't wait to go
Yes.
down a few more rabbit holes with you. Sound good?
Yes, absolutely. Which everybody should sign up for Beautiful Anonymous Plus. It's great
Thanks.
as a paying member.
Look at that. And thank you for getting the plug-in just before we cut the people off instead of what's becoming a community
I was
habit
hoping
of
so. I was like, "Ooh."
people consistently plugging Beautiful Anonymous Plus right after they go behind the paywall, which is kind. But that being said, not as valuable as what you just did. Thank you.
Of course.
Caller, thank you so much for calling up, for being part of the show. It is much appreciated. Thanks for being so open, so honest. Thank you. And thanks to Andrea Quinn for producing the show. Thanks to Shellshag for our theme music. Go to punchup.live/Chris Gethard if you want to know more about me and where I'll be at. We have a voicemail line. It's 973-306-4676. We're on Instagram at Beautiful Anonymous Pod. Join the Facebook group at Beautiful Anonymous, the community. This week on Beautiful Anonymous Plus, here's some of what you'll get from the 5 questions. Let's see if either of you can guess this very well-known song, and I'll sing you the sentence the song fragment I had in my head for years. I like this. I like this if it's okay. It's this. It was a I had that in my head for like 2 years, and then finally my friend Mike Yerrick realized what I was trying to sing.
What was it? I have no idea.
Okay, let's see if Andrea can guess. Andrea just said it's the one that they use in movie trailers a lot, which, Andrea, I love you. Not a help. If anybody else wants to listen, now anybody listening is leaning. I had that in my head for years. Don't forget to sign up for Beautiful Anonymous Plus at beautifulanonymous.com.
Who's ready to level up their mental fitness and win the seconds of the day? Well, at least that's my goal. Join me, Mark Champagne, on Behind the Human, a podcast where I dive into the stories and practices of extraordinary individuals. From billionaires to Olympians and cultural icons like Tony Hawk, each episode unveils the pathways and the mental fitness strategies that propel them to the top. Now available on all major podcast platforms. Here's Thriving Minds.